Hey everybody, I wanted to come on here really quickly and talk about something that I've gotten a couple of comments about here on YouTube, as well as just a question I receive all the time, and that is, what is a CSA? It's something you've probably heard me talk about in my videos before, maybe you've heard other farmers mention it, so this video is all about that. What the heck is a CSA, and what specifically is my CSA? How does it work? All that good stuff, so stay tuned for that. Alright, so the very basic thing that I want to tell you right off the bat is that I did not invent the concept of a CSA. I'm not sure who did. It's been around for a long time. I learned about it during my internship in college when I worked at a small farm in Indiana, and it stands for Community Supported Agriculture. The basic kind of ideology of it, I suppose, would be that instead of, in typical fashion, a farmer would assume all of the risk at the beginning of the year, financial and capital risk, I suppose, by, purchasing all their seeds and soil amendments and everything like that, putting in all of the effort before ever making a paycheck, and then assuming that they can hopefully sell all of it at the correct price to make a profit. And that's how it's worked for a lot of time. And that's still how it does work in most of the world. But with CSAs, the concept is that the community would like to support the farmer in the growing of their agriculture. And so for all CSAs, that's the idea, and it looks like a lot of different things depending on the specific farm, the specific group of farmers. There's actually some CSAs where numerous different farmers in a small area will all collaborate together. So I don't grow melons on my farm, for example. If I was going to collaborate with another farmer, maybe they would be one that grew corn and melons, two things that I can't really grow here in my area, and maybe I would grow some other things that they don't grow, and then we would put it together into a CSA. On the other side of that, there are plenty of farmers like myself who only have customers get what's coming off of their own field. So for me, my CSA, I'm growing all of the food myself. And they come in all different sizes as well. So mine is a relatively small one. I'll get to that and tell you kind of in details in a second what that looks like. But there are some really large ones. I've seen all the way up to, all the way from like a few $100s or even less, all the way up to $1,000 or more for a season. But those ones typically, the intention is that you don't really even have to go to the grocery store. They will supply everything. So you're getting fresh cow's milk or goat's milk or whatever, and cheeses and dairy and meats, jams and jellies and breads and flour and just all sorts of stuff on top of your produce. And they usually have orchards, so they're giving you fruit from trees and things like that. So because I have such a small farm, mine costs a lot less, and I tend to market mine more towards customers who maybe don't just eat vegetables every day of their life, who maybe would like to go to the grocery store and get some of their favorite stuff, who like to go out to eat every once in a while. And mine is really more of a supplementation. So the idea behind mine, how I kind of market it, is it's a savings compared to if you were to go buy this stuff from the farmer's market. And it's a great way to learn about new vegetables that maybe you've never tried before. A lot of my members in their first year said, wow, I've never heard of kohlrabi. I never would have picked it up because I had no idea what it was. And now it's my new favorite vegetable. Same with lots of different things. So, plus it's a really great way to kind of learn about eating what's in season. Maybe you don't know what season garlic is in season for, and broccoli or ground cherries or whatever. I'm looking around my field, like, what do I have? And so this is a really great way to kind of learn that as well, because you're kind of forced to eat that way unless you're gonna go supplement by buying stuff at the grocery store. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. So I think now we'll kind of transition into the details of how my CSA works. First things first, you're probably wondering about the cost. For me, it costs, well, it's a 20-week season, so that's the first bit of information you need to know. So over 20 weeks, you can either do a full share, which is $240. So that means that it's $12 a box. And then for a half share, which means you would pick up every other week of the season, still a 20-week season, but you get 10 boxes, it would be $120. So either way, it equals $12 a box. And now the cost is spread out, it's an average, right? So you're paying $240 for 20 weeks of produce. So at the beginning of the year, especially in a year like this year where we had very cold weather for a long time, very, very rainy weather, my crops had a hard time catching up. So the first 6 to 8 weeks, you probably were getting, you being CSA members, we're probably getting a lot less value, not a lot, but less value than $12 per box. Now the way that it ends up being a savings is that once the crops catch up, you're getting so much stuff in your box that I keep track of stuff each week so that you do get an average. By the end of the season, you're able to see you saved this percentage as opposed to if you were to buy these at market value at the farmer's market. So it does end up working out as a savings in that way. The other reason why it's super great, in my personal opinion, is that you get a relationship with the farmer. And if you're not the kind of person who cares about that on like a friend kind of level, I guess, it's still a really great thing eating wise because you are learning from the farmer, being me in this case, exactly what's in your box, what it's called so that you can Google it, links to recipes, ideas on how to use it, and then also in those weeks where you just have like tomatoes coming out your ears or like way too many green beans, I also include like instructions on really quick and easy ways to preserve it, because not everybody has time to do canning, not everybody's a homesteader. Most of my CSA members are regular 9 to 5, two income families with kids coming home from school, and so they don't have time to pull out a pressure canner and can a bunch of beans for the winter. So instead I give them instructions on how to quickly blanch them, throw them in the freezer, and they're good to go for the future. So those kinds of tips I find that people really enjoy because it saves them time, and time is money for a lot of people. So that being said, CSAs honestly look so different depending on your demographic, depending on specifically where you are, and that's the reason why. If you have a community that really has a lot of time on their hands, maybe a lot of stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home dads, you are probably going to have more of a situation where people would rather get more stuff as part of their value and less maybe information because they have time to go figure it out on their own. Whatever the case is, a CSA is going to look a lot like the community that it's in. So I pretty much told you a lot about the different pros of the CSA. It's really good for the farmer, really good for the customer, but there are a few cons involved. As with anything, there's always going to be some risk when you're purchasing something. So one of the cons is that maybe you don't have time to come pick up your share this week, and that's a bummer. So there have been weeks where a customer either emails me and lets me know they can't come to pick it up, and if I can't find a time to switch stuff around so they can pick up at a different time, they just don't get their produce. There have also been times where customers just won't communicate with me, and I don't know if something happened. I don't know if they're mad. I don't know if they just forgot. I try to communicate as much as humanly possible with them, but sometimes people just don't respond to emails, and there's really nothing you can do. So that's a little bit frustrating for me, but I'm sure it's frustrating for the customers when they realize I already paid for that, I forgot. That really stinks. So that would definitely be a con. Another one would be that with agriculture, everything is a risk. So obviously if you're assuming some of the risk from the farmer, you're investing in the crop up front. So people pay me at the beginning of the year, I plant all their crops, and hopefully they get vegetables. So there have definitely been times, even at the beginning of this year, where I really hope you love salads because you're getting salad mix every week, and that's the bulk of your value this week. So there have also been times where I have said, you should expect this crop at some point during your season, and people never got it because it just didn't grow. It got eaten by deer. For example, anybody who watched my video talking about the beet bed that got destroyed, that just didn't happen. Like, people just didn't get beets. So there's definitely some risk involved. There's definitely a little bit of a crapshoot in what you're gonna get. And there are virtually no guarantees. So that would also be a con. If you're somebody that really needs to plan out what you're gonna have available, that kind of stinks. But obviously just the value of knowing where your food comes from. And at my farm, I let people come out here and see whatever they want. You can see what kinds of organic pesticides I use, not pesticides, but like pest control methods that I use. You can come out and see literally all of this, and just find out how I do everything. So that's really valuable. And then the value of just the convenience, like I said, of like, you just stop by, here's your stuff, here's instructions on how to cook it for dinner, you're good to go. So it's definitely really rewarding for me. I really enjoy the CSA aspect of it. Again, financially, it's great because I get the money up front. So if I don't have enough money to kind of buy everything for the entire year. I don't have to wait for those paychecks to start coming in once the farmers market season starts up. I have that money to invest in that season from CSAs. So not all of my money comes from CSAs. I do sell at the market and sell to a couple restaurants, but having that big chunk of cash at the beginning of the year is so helpful business-wise, just for being able to run the farm. So Oscar, he's so cute. So I wanted to really quickly, just to end the video, kind of show you, I know you guys have seen the farm tons of times on here, but I wanted to really quickly just show you kind of the different chunks of my farm and which parts are CSA heavy and which parts aren't. So over here, this is 60% of my field, which is primarily salad greens. So all of the lettuce, chard, kale, arugula, and endive are on this side of the farm. And it looks really tiny right now, but trust me, it's huge. It's three blocks that are each 24 foot wide, and they each have 8 beds in them. And the beds are a 50 foot by 50 foot, and then right behind it is a 25 foot bed. So it's actually more than 8 beds, but that's just how it works in my brain. Anyway, that's all the greens. So part of that does go to CSA members, but that all gets harvested, and whatever is not going to CSA members or to a restaurant gets sold at the farmer's market. But I typically every 2 weeks sell about 5 pounds to the restaurant in town, which is really great. So that's just another piece of revenue, but that's that. The other half of the farm is designated for all the cool variety stuff, and some of this stuff goes to the farmer's market, but most of it is laid out for CSA purposes. So this part's really weedy and needs to be turned over, but this is kind of where all of my variety, like fun stuff is. So a lot of things like these black radishes right here, cucumbers, ground cherries, broccoli, all this cool stuff. There's black beans and turnips over there. All this really fun stuff. I pretty much figure out how much I need to plant based on how many CSA customers I have. And then if I have enough space to plant more than that, then I do so, and then that's what can go to the farmer's market. But typically the stuff over here only goes to the farmer's market if I have extras. This is really CSA territory. So you might be wondering how many CSA members I have. My very first year, I was so nervous that I wouldn't be able to grow anything. And so I only had a couple of close friends join up, and that way I wouldn't feel as bad if I completely screwed up, because I knew that they would have signed up either way, just to support me in my endeavors. So I only had the equivalent of 3 CSA members, 2 half shares and 1 full share. No, that was only 2 CSA members. Yeah, that's only 2 full shares. Wow, that's really small. Anyway, my second year, I jumped all the way up to the equivalent of 5 shares. So some of those were half shares and some were full, but it was the equivalent of 5 full shares. This year, I doubled that, and I have 10 full shares sold. So I have about 14, 15 customers, I think. So like I said, some of them are half shares as well. But I split them up, the half share people, I split up into A week and B week, so I can keep track of them easier. That way I don't end up with 20 customers one week and 5 the next week. I have 10 each week to show up. So the half share members picking up every other week alternate, if that makes any sense at all. But that makes it a lot easier for me to make sure that I have enough stuff for them each week. So I hope that answered some of your guys' questions. Those of you who are commenting and asking, what the heck is a CSA? Thank you so much for asking those questions. It's very rare that I actually get interaction on YouTube, so those always make me really excited. So let me know what you found interesting about this video, what kinds of questions you still have. There's definitely things I probably overlooked, things that are just normal to me that maybe you didn't understand. But also, what other things would you guys like to learn about? I really enjoy, while I'm taking a break here, just kind of sitting down and having a talk video. So whether it's a topic that you would like me to give my opinion on, or something that you just don't understand, you'd be interested to know more about, please leave a comment down below so I can talk about that for you guys. But anyway, I need to go move the hose. My dog's gonna start barking. Hi, buddy. And hopefully I can get out of here soon because it's really hot today. Can you say bye, buddy? Oscar says bye. Anyway, I really enjoyed talking to you guys today. I hope you have a wonderful day and you go do something cool for yourself, and also go grow something.